here with Steve Nicholson, Chief Football Writer of the Derby Telegraph, after the Rams' 1-0 victory over Nottingham Forest here at the iPro Stadium. Steve, give us your thoughts on the game.
Yeah, very typical Derby Forest game here at Derby. You know, they're usually tight affairs. You know, the 5-0 of 2 years ago was a bit of a one-off. They're usually scrappy, frantic, quick, very competitive, and that's what it was. You know, and one goal decided it, as it was always likely to. And first half, you know, I thought Forest played quite well first half. I thought they controlled more of the play. I thought, you know, Derby kind of dug in. They stayed solid, but it was kind of Forest on the ball who were better. Vaughan was excellent again in midfield for them, I thought. But just towards the end of the first half, last 10 minutes, as the game started to open up a touch after the frantic start, I thought Forest started to look a bit vulnerable, especially when Bryson started to run between the lines and Hendrick as well, and Derby started to move it a bit quicker. So that was promising signs towards the end of the half. They had to improve with the ball, and I thought they did second half. It wasn't great, wasn't always pretty, but you know, the goal itself was a real moment of quality. You know, the ball was fed into Tom Ince. He did ever so well to hold off Mills, the defender, who I thought was slightly too tight for a centre defender, and Ince laid it off. And I'm not sure where the Forest right back was, but really it doesn't really matter. And Olsen came in and finished with his right foot, super finish as well, low across the goalkeeper into the far corner. 1-0, great goal, enough to win the game. But also there was great spirit in the Derby performance, I thought. Keogh first half made 2 or 3 excellent headers. Then second half, late on, George Thorne made a terrific block in the area from Osborne. You know, that was great stuff. And that togetherness, that spirit was there. As I say, they've played better, but these games are all about competing, digging in, and the result is everything.
As you say, this result will have given them a real lift going into the international break.
Yeah, it will. I wrote in the Telegraph this week that I thought this was the most important game of the season so far, and not just because we were playing Forest. I thought it was important after this week. You know, again, it's been another strange week at the club. You know, ins and outs as such. You know, Harry Redknapp's arrived, and there was a lot of focus off the field. It was important now to focus on the field, and that's why I thought it was an important game. Also important to get the 3 points going into the break, as you say. And now what they've got to do, they've got to take the boost of beating their rivals. They've got to take that lift into the final 8 games of the season. Some of them aren't going to be pretty, you know, and the key is getting results, getting points on the board, and hopefully this win against Forest will kickstart that.
Finally, just a quick injury update. We saw Jason Shackle limp off towards the end. What's the latest there? Yeah,
he tweaked a groin late on in the game. He went down. He wanted to carry on, Darren Wassell said, but he also put his hand up and said, look, you know, probably better not do that. So he came off as a precaution. Jake Buxton went on. I think it was the second biggest cheer of the afternoon after the goal. Great to see him back out there, big favourite with the fans. And again, having him on there for the last 15 minutes or so, real determination, real character. And Derby's performance was full of character. You know, we mustn't forget also, and pretty pleasing for me, is I think this was the 3rd consecutive clean sheet at home. And if you're keeping clean sheets, you've got a great chance of winning games.